In today's video, we're going to talk about how stride direction impacts your arm slot, your pitching mechanics as a whole, your velocity, and your command. When you stride too far across your body or too far open, it changes the way your arm slot moves, and it can drop or rise depending. All right, so when we're talking about your stride line, I've made one here in the dirt with my foot. We're talking about basically your ankle from there. So we're not talking like the line from the toe or the back of the heel, but pretty much your ankle, because that's where your leg is. So the ideal is that we land in a line between ankle and ankle. And if we do that, it allows our hips to rotate open towards the plate easily, and then we can locate to both sides of the plate. We have some flexibility in both directions, but here are kind of the rules. So let's talk about striding across your body and why that can be okay in a small dose and why it's bad in a big dose and what happens. So if I start to stride across my body just a little bit, which is very common, so say I land a couple inches closed, I can still rotate, but you'll see I start to tilt with my knee and my hip to try to get my hips open, and my trunk is going to start to tilt that way as well. This is okay, and a lot of pitchers stride a little bit closed and they're still super effective. There's tons of major leaguers that stride a couple inches on the closed side. If I start striding way over here, say 6 inches or more, now it becomes very difficult for my hips to rotate to get completely open, because they've got to get way over here to bring my arm through. So what happens is, if I start striding way across my body, my hips tilt and my arm will often come very high over the top, and my arm slot will change to compensate for my hips desperately struggling to try to get open. So too far on the closed side is not good. It'll reduce your velocity usually, and your arm slot will really start to climb, which can cause everything to flatten out and make it difficult to get any kind of movement on the ball. Again, reduce velocity and makes it tougher to command the baseball. If you stride on the open side, there's a couple different things that happen. Number one, you basically never want to stride any amount open. It's much better to be a little bit too closed or be straight than be any amount open. And the reason you don't want to be any amount open is because that means your hips have started to open up in the air. And anytime your hips rotate open in the air, you've given away some of the rotational force that you can create, AKA you've lost some velocity. This is the same as a hitter. As a hitter, if you open up a little bit too soon before your stride hits and your hips start to rotate, you tend to swing with your butt out, and you tend to lose some bat speed because you've already spent some of your hips rotation. So number one, you never want to land even a little bit open. That's not a good thing. What happens when you do this, and this is very common, especially with very young players like 13 and under, if you land open, your arm slot will tend to drop. And the reason is because your hips start to rotate, they start to force your arm to accelerate too soon. And because of that, they follow the rotation of your hips, and your arm tends to fly out. It's very awkward to be up here while landing really far open. So your arm slot will tend to drop. So for you parents and coaches out there, if you know a player who, say, throws from like a natural sidearm and you don't like it, you think like, man, they should be a little bit higher up, it just doesn't look right, and you can't figure out what it is, their low arm slot is probably caused in part because their hips are opening up too soon. So one of the best ways to make sure you're very straight towards the plate is to keep your glove arm up as long as possible. If your glove arm rotates open, which is very common, the hips will go with it, and then I'll have opened up my chest too soon and my arm slot will drop. That's not good. But if I keep my glove arms closed, my hips will stay closed with it, and this allows me to be straighter towards the plate. It can also cause me to be too far open, but it basically will help prevent this opening up too soon by staying down here. It's very awkward to be here and then do that with my leg. It just basically becomes very difficult to do it wrong. So looking down through your elbow is a powerful way to be straight to the plate. And then also just try to guide yourself with your ankle and your hip pocket towards home plate. Thinking about ankle to the plate, not ankle to the dugout. Those are important cues that can help you stride straighter. But remember, the takeaways here, the farther you stride across your body, the more your hips are desperately fighting to open, and your arm will go higher to compensate. When you stride too far open, your arm slot will drop. You'll lose velocity because you spent some of your hips power in the air, and you'll also be a lot less powerful, and your off-speed stuff will suffer. So hopefully this video was helpful. Obviously, youth pitching mechanics can be difficult to diagnose and to fix for parents and coaches and for players themselves. So hopefully today's video gives you a little bit of insight into how important stride direction is in youth pitching mechanics. It's something that drills can definitely help. Check out the online courses you'll find in my description below, along with my books. I have other pitching drills that I'll link to as well. But make sure you have an understanding of how important stride direction is to overall pitching mechanics, all right? And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you here in the next video.